There's never been a better time to have SiriusXM. With over 140 channels in your vehicle, your all-access trial includes more than ever before to enjoy online, on your phone, or at home. Create your own ad-free personalized stations powered by Pandora. Hear ad-free extra channels and enjoy favorite shows with SiriusXM Video on Demand. What you love is on now.
Hey, if you're into living loud on your boat or watercraft, then Kicker Marine certainly can get you overboard because they've got an incredible lineup of marine audio products. Today, we welcome their global trainers, John Myers, as well as Carlos Jimenez, to discuss their 2022 lineup from everything from tower speakers to coaxials to subwoofers, media centers, accessories, and much more. CMA Connected, presented by SiriusXM, Kicker Marine starts now. Hey guys, thanks for tuning in to another CMA Connected presented by SiriusXM. I'm your host, Ben Wu. And you heard it, we're going deep today with a legendary brand in the industry, and that is, of course, Kicker. And when it comes to marine audio, man, they take it extra serious. They have a whole division, a whole engineering, design, the whole 9 yards, everything you can think of when it comes to marine audio. Of course, we're going to start off kind of setting us up for the show with our good friends at Gemsen Distribution, the exclusive Canadian distributor for Kicker in Canada. So I'd like to welcome to our show, Mr. Dave Singh, their National Sales Director.
Hey, Ben, how you doing? Good to see you.
Good to see you again, Dave. Gotta say, I love the background, kind of after my own style. Love it, love it, love it. Gosh, Kicker, when it comes, Kicker's such a big brand, it's always a hoot to have these guys on. You know, they have their great show with the Unmasked. They have that great studio setup. But more importantly, they have incredible product in the marine lineup, don't they, Dave?
Absolutely. As you mentioned, Kicker's a legendary brand that's been around for decades. When I got started in the car audio, Kicker was the first gear that I put in my, I had a Ford Aerostar with 4 Kicker C15s, and,
Nice.
you know, the Kicker van is what they called it. And, you know, it goes back quite some time. Since that time, Kickers have elevated themselves and got into much more categories than just car audio. They've gotten the home and personal. They've gotten into marine and power sports. And, you know, the marine stuff is what we're here to talk about. And it's absolutely phenomenal product. We're really excited about what they bring to the table.
And I mean, Gemsen and Kicker, you guys have been partnered for quite some time now, haven't you?
Absolutely. And, you know, I'm going to pat ourselves on the back. We just were rewarded with the Distributor of the Year from Kicker, and we're quite proud of that. And shout out to our team, and especially Mike Danbrook, you know, who's kind of the key lead on the Kicker product. But, you know, they're great people to work for, fantastic, just partners in general. And that's what you want. To have a strong partner in your distribution, and that allows strong partnerships with your retailers, being able to take care of any problems should we ever have any, and that sort of thing. So it's a great relationship, and we're more like family than business counterparts.
Well, you said something key there, and that is a strong partners. And strong partners are going to come to this stage here and present a strong presentation. We've got 2 of the best. It's the global trainers that we're lucky enough to have join us today. They're going to come in. They're going to talk about their entire lineup, and we'll be able to kind of pick apart and ask the questions that we want, because there's some cool things that we're going to cover. But before that, best thing to do is kind of set the stage and set the mood. We've got a video that we can play that gives us an idea of what Kicker Marine is all about. Why don't we roll the tape? Hey, hey, hey!
How
Gotta
you
love
doing,
that.
guys?
What is
Welcome,
up?
welcome. How you doing, John? How you doing, Carlos?
We are doing great.
Excited to be on here.
Thank you so much for taking the time today. You know, I love that closing sequence of that video. Go overboard. I think that's the theme because really, marine audio is all about fun, isn't it, gentlemen?
It's got to be. I mean, that's why you do it. There's no other reason.
And you know, we were just talking here, and we're saying not only does Kicker do pretty much everything really hardcore, and I can already tell from some of the goodies that you have laid out here that we're going to learn more about. But you know, how serious was I right in assuming that, you know, when Kicker does something, or let's say the marine category, there's a whole team and everything dedicated just to this, isn't there?
Yeah, absolutely. We've got a crew that specializes in every area of audio that we cover, just to make sure we get all the bases covered. We know exactly what we're doing. So when we get into that category, we're going to be the dominating factor in that area.
That's amazing. Now, Carlos, you know, both you guys train globally, so obviously this is the brand we know is global, but also the marine side of things. Can I just ask just a little bit of history? How long has Kicker been in the marine game?
Geez, so we've been in the marine industry by accident close to 20 years. It started off with with an outdoor speaker that just sounded so amazing that we had dealers selling them to boat guys, and they're like, hey, you know what, this sounds great. You should make marine stuff. And we're like, dude, we do car stuff, man. We have a background in, you know, in pro audio, but I mean, that's not what we do. So we saw that these dealers were selling the product, and in 2005, we decided to stop just dipping our toe in the water and go overboard and just jump right in with 5 new products, which was a big deal back in 2005 for a company like Kicker to jump in with 5 products for marine. To this day now, we go from 5 products to 70 products, 70 unique products. We're doing a lot of OEM boat builder business with over 40 unique boat builder brands. I mean, it's a big deal. Kicker is marine is a big part of Kicker's business.
I mean, not only are we excited to hear about maybe we won't get to every single product that you just mentioned there, but perhaps we'll go by category.
There's a lot.
But, you know, it's obvious with the display, the marketing, you even have its own graphic logo, the color. So we totally get that is completely serious. Dave, do you have anything to add to this before we get into this this presentation?
No, I'm ready to jump right in and go overboard.
Okay, this overboard, I love it.
Like that?
I love it. I love it. So,
I like
without any further ado, gentlemen, please take it away. We've got John Myers, we've got Carlos Jimenez, direct from the Kicker Unmasked studio. Let's learn all about Kicker Marine Audio, guys.
Well, that video is pretty exciting, and it really gets people, you know, pumped for that whole marine industry. But, you know, Carlos, when we talk about marine, what is it about Kicker products that make them the obvious choice for the marine audio enthusiast?
Well, real simple, it's real marine product. It is not the wrong product painted white. So when we talk about real marine, it is made for the environment. It is made for salt water. It is made for fresh water. It is designed specifically for the marine environment. Now, we have a whole floor of dedicated engineers and product designers, and these guys do nothing but fit or fill the needs for the marine industry, not only coming up with new products and great products, but they're also studying up on the U.S. Coast Guard Boat Builders Manual, making sure they're complying with all of their needs and regulations. We'll also follow the Canadian Coast Guard as well. Now, all the products, because we're an OEM boat builder supplier, all these guys are also making sure that all the products are ABYC NEMA compliant. Now, if you don't know what ABYC NEMA compliant, or who they are, ABYC is American Boat and Yacht Council. NMMA is National Marine Manufacturers Association. Now, these are 2 governing bodies that set the standards for new marine boat builders or new boat builders. So if you're gonna own or if you're gonna build new boats here in the United States, you have to follow their regulations for safety. So it's a big deal that all of our products follow those regulations, and they meet and in most cases exceed their standards.
Well, it sounds like they definitely cover all the bases. And what line of products do we sell? I mean, we've got a lot of different things, but what categories are we
That's actually a really good question, but we fill all your marine needs. We got everything from wiring, actual marine wiring, actual marine MRBF fuses, which are the gold standard in the marine industry, not car audio fuses. We got marine amplifiers, we got marine speakers, we got marine subs, tower speakers, LED lighting, everything you need for your marine needs.
Sounds fantastic. When we start talking about amplifiers, and amplifiers obviously are very important because you got to make it loud, what are some of the design features that we put into these amplifiers to make sure that they are marine compliant?
All right, so first off, all these amplifiers are ABYC NEMA compliant on the power connections. What does that mean? When you're screwing down a set screw on the power wire of a car audio amplifier, what you're doing is you're screwing down that set screw on that copper wire. That's a big no-no in the marine industry, because if you're screwing down on that copper strand and you're hitting the wave 60 miles an hour, you're jamming out to your music, and that strand breaks, what ends up happening, that power wire, that live wire, can disconnect and it's gonna touch something around it. Now, where the amplifier is usually mounted, somewhere in the engine bay, somewhere near the fuel lines and fuel tank, and I've never been on a boat that doesn't smell like gas or have any fumes. So what happens if you get a spark when you're out there on the boat, you can have not only a fire, but you can have an explosion. So safety is a big deal. So we are complying with the ABYC NEMA standards. When we say that, when you're screwing down on the power wire at our amplifiers, you're screwing down on a metal plate that sandwiches that wire so it does not come off and cause an ignition. So that's a big deal. All of our controls are also sealed so moisture does not get inside of the amplifiers. On our KXMA line of amplifiers, you have a door where the controls are also sealed on. So that door has a rubber gasket around it so moisture doesn't get in. If moisture does eventually get in any of our line of amplifiers, they all have conformal coating on the circuit board, so it will not create a short.
Well, that's very important. We definitely don't want sparks in boats, especially with fumes.
Yeah, I mean, there's no fire department on the water, right? I mean, you got buckets.
Exactly.
And you better be a good swimmer.
So if we start out with our KMA amplifier line, we've got several models of the KMA amplifier line that, are fairly specific and designed for exactly what that, that boater on a budget needs. What are some of the models and some of the features on some of the KMA amplifier?
Well, Ernie will show us the models that are on there. There are 4 full range or multi-channel amplifiers and a bass amplifier. So these follow, basically, if you know our CXA line of amplifiers, these are a marine version of our CXA line of amplifiers. Big feature on there that I think is super, super important is the FIT inputs. Now the FIT inputs, they're really great. They're very important for you guys to know because the FIT inputs allow you to go ahead and use a radio without using the RCAs. So you eliminate a lot of the engine noise that you see on boats when you accelerate and you get that whine. Go ahead, going and using the FIT inputs also allows that amplifier to take up to 10 volts of power. So the amplifier is not going to work as hard and it's going to give you a cleaner sound.
Sound fantastic. I think Ernie was a little excited there. He got all excited to show us the KXMA amplifier line,
Ernie,
which are even better yet than the KMA amplifier line. What are some of the things that differentiate the KMA from the KXMA? Okay,
KXMA are cool. They're all going to be Class D full range as well. They got a lot of power. A really cool feature that I like, John, is that when you're turning up the gain on the KXMA line of amplifiers, the gain knob is actually translucent. So as you're turning up the gain, it'll light up to let you know you're at 1% distortion. So you just turn it back until that light shuts off, and now you got a perfect signal going into your amplifier. So now you'll know that you're not going to blow up a speaker because you're sending distortion to that amplifier. So really cool feature. Again, you're going to have doors to cover the controls in case you got one of those customers that love to touch everything and readjust your gains. You got that covered. Also, you have all your controls on one side of the amplifier, and you have your connections on the other side of the amplifier, making it a much cleaner install.
Yeah, I really like the fact that they're full range Class D and the fact that all the controls are DSP controlled, even though they're mechanical buttons. And the crossover is 24 dB per octave bandpass. I mean, it really is the premium line of car audio amplifiers.
A ton of options on those little amplifiers. I mean, I love them.
But obviously, you got to connect the amplifiers to something. We've got a huge line of marine speakers. Now, what differentiates the Kicker marine speakers from the standard Kicker line of speakers, and why are these dedicated for marine applications?
Very, very good question, John. And we get this a lot. I mean, not only are these speakers voiced to be out in the open air, because you see a lot of car audio speakers, guys will put them in a boat, and all of a sudden they sound great in the shop, and then you bring it outside, you lose your audio, right? Well, these are voiced to be in the open air. Not only that, but if you take a look at this speaker, let me just show you guys here, and we may close up on it. All these speakers, they come in, the coaxials come in 4-inch, 6-inch, and 8-inch. They all have that tweeter floating up here, so it's completely sealed from the cone itself. That tweeter also has LEDs in the back, so they all have LEDs minus the 4-inch. They come with white and gray grills, which is a big deal, so you can match up to more boats, more
Which
interiors.
is handy in the same box. You get both color grills, so you don't have to buy anything extra.
You could sell whatever's left over, right?
There you go.
Another big deal on these is we're not using a stamped steel basket, we're using a polycarbonate basket. That's a big deal, especially if you're dealing with salt water, because you don't want moisture getting onto that stamped steel, creating corrosion, rusting out, or if you're dealing with salt water, it's going to turn white and start to disintegrate. If you take a look at the rear of the speaker, the magnet, the motor structure, everything is completely sealed to make sure moisture does not get in there, making sure that you have the best, longest life out of your speaker. We also are going to give you these covers over here for your connections, so when you make your spade connections on here, this locks in place, again, for safety, so that you don't have any ignition. If speakers don't touch, or the speaker inputs don't touch together and create a spark, a lot of thought goes into it. Now here's something that you may or may not know about these speakers, and it's pretty cool that I get asked this question when I'm out on the road, is these speakers have a drip hole right here on the grill. I don't know if you can close in on that, Ernie. John, do you know what the drip hole is for?
It's probably let the drips out.
Perfect answer. So we've all seen a boat, brand new boat that just got marine speakers put on, right? And it's screwed onto a wall, and then 2 weeks later, you're gonna see some rust coming down the line. So why is that happening, John? It's because you probably sprayed down, your boat. Maybe it was out in the rain, or is there moisture ever on a boat? Never, right? So what ends up happening with a lot of speakers and grills is water pools up where the screws go on. So what ends up happening is that screw is sitting in water, creating corrosion and rust. So it doesn't matter how fancy and expensive your speaker is, if you're sitting in water, it's gonna corrode and rust. So the drip hole allows water to come down. Now another cool protection we have against that corrosion and the rust is that we're using 3/16L screws, and we give you 3/16L screws. Ernie will show us a picture of what it looks like when you're using just regular stainless steel against 3/16L stainless steel. So anytime that we give you anything marine with screws or any hardware, it's going to be 3/16L stainless steel. 3/16L stands for less corrosion. So again, we're going to combat rust, we're going to combat oxidation and pitting in sunlight or pitting in high heat. And none of your marine stuff is exposed to high heat, is it?
Never.
Never. All right, so that's really cool. 4-inch, 6-inch, 8-inch. We also have marine tower cans. These are our flagship tower cans, but they seem to be the industry flagship. We noticed that a lot of companies are trying to compare themselves to our tower can, which is pretty cool. It's a very nice compliment. I love it. Guys, keep it up. We love that. Now, what we're seeing there is the 6.5-inch tower cans. Those come in 6-inch. They come in 8-inch black cans or white cans, again with the grills to match. What's really cool about these is they're UV protected as well. All of our marine products have UV protection.
So they're not going to turn yellow.
Exactly. You see like white grills all the time turn yellow after about 2 weeks being in the sun. You see a lot of the black cans turning gray or light gray in the sun. We have a lot of UV protection on our products to make sure that they will not fade away. They're going to look as good as new as long as you take care of them. Now we have these 9-inch and 11-inch cans, which are pretty awesome. Now these 9-inch and 11-inch cans use our special proprietary horn geometry, which gives us amazing audio no matter if we're 5 feet in front of it or 30 feet in front of it. And it's not a fatiguing sound. It is aesthetically pleasing, I would say, to your ear.
Acoustically pleasing, yeah.
Acoustically pleasing to your ear. So it sounds great no matter where you're at.
So they don't sound like a typical horn-loaded speaker.
Exactly. I mean, we've all been to, you know, boats where it's very loud. I mean, it reminds me of my cousin's quinceañera where my other cousin was DJing. Man, that music was loud, but it didn't sound good. So we want to make sure that you're going to have loud sounding music that sounds great. So these are available in 9-inch and 11. I'm going to show you guys something that's really cool about it. These cans come with the hardware that you see on the mounting brackets. They are 316L stainless steel, heavy duty. They do come with it. Now, let's say you're in Canada. I hear Canada's safe. You guys leave your doors unlocked, right? Well, let's say if you're in Canada, you're going to bring your boat down to the U.S., right? You're going to go across the border. You don't trust those guys in the U.S., right? So we're not going to leave these nice, expensive cans out on the boat. What we're going to do is we're going to unlock it up here, take these hand screws out. There's a plate that comes off, and this whole can just slides right out. You have no wires exposed. All the LEDs, because these do have LEDs, the speaker wire, they're all over here. All the connections are done on this black piece right here. Everything just slides in. You're not going to see anything exposed. Another cool feature on this, it does articulate 359 degrees, so you can point it wherever you want. Just mount your bracket and you're ready to go.
Sounds like a heck of a bracket, and those are awesome speakers. And how about safety and security to be able to pull them off? Now, we also have those available in a flat or a factory mount as well, which mounts to the factory tower bars. And so same style speaker, but a little different mount. And the other cool thing is we talked about, you know, the 6.5 and the 8-inch coaxes, and we have, you know, single and dual cans available for those as well with that great, you know, really proprietary stainless steel, you know, mounting bracket that we've designed. So
I want to touch on here, John, again, talking about safety, because safety is a big feature to us, especially to these boat builders. But talking about safety, this can is very, very heavy. If you guys pull this is about 50, 65 pounds. I mean, it's really, really heavy. So
isn't that about 35 Canadian?
Yeah, something like
conversion.
That. So what's really cool about this is there is no weight on the can itself. If you guys see the stainless steel bracket that goes over here, this stainless steel bracket attaches to another bracket that goes around the motor structure of the actual speaker. And so all the weight is held onto the bracket itself. There is no weight on the basket. Now that's a big deal because again, we're saying you're hitting the wave 60 miles an hour, creating vibration. You don't want to break, or you don't want one of these to crack if all the pressure is being held on the can and fall on top of somebody. So again, safety is a huge, important thing to us.
Yeah, I think if one of those broke free and came down, I'd probably go through the bottom of the boat.
And you got a big problem.
Yeah, then you're all going down to the bottom of the lake or the river or wherever you happen to be. So those have been so popular. We've had a lot of people asking for, you know, that type of sound inside the boat because they want it really loud but sounding good.
That's true. Not everyone has a tower, right, to mount these, and they want the music inside the boat. So it's about time we start talking about our KMXL, which is going to be the same technology that we use on these speakers, but they're going to be for a coax. So what you're seeing right there is going to be our 6x9 KMXL.
Let me just hand this to you, Carlos.
This KMXL, for
if it wants to let go, strong magnets.
For what it does, I mean, it's a pretty shallow speaker for everything that's in here. I mean, compared to what's on here, but it's going to give you that same performance that you used to from our 9 and 11-inch cans. These are available in 6.5-inch, 8-inch, and this 6x9. So a lot of cool applications where you can use these guys on. Again, these will come with LEDs, just like all of our coaxes come with LEDs except for the 4-inch. So pretty cool, pretty awesome, and you get white grills with them.
Yeah, and the gray grills too. And I really like the screen that we have protecting water from getting inside that speaker.
Yeah, making sure we got everything protected. Anything that is metal is going to be protected and not exposed.
And that silicone gasket to make sure it's sealed completely to that boat. I mean, talk about a fantastic speaker. And these are brand new. These are just barely starting to ship. So this is probably the first time you guys have seen or heard of these. But the marine line just keeps getting bigger and bigger. So we've covered amplifiers. We've covered, you know, speakers. I mean, obviously we need something else. We need bass. We do bass here at Kicker. So what do we got for marine bass?
So I'm glad you asked. For years we've had marine subwoofers, and usually they were just 10-inch. And those marine subwoofers sounded good in freer applications and sealed applications. But now we know certain people want certain products, right? They've got to have a free air subwoofer in their application, or they got to have a sealed box. So now we have our marine subwoofers available in 10-inch, 12-inch in a free air application or a sealed application, available in 2 ohm and 4 ohm as well. if you take a look at the back, John, I'm sorry, Vanna John over here, we have, again, we're not using stamped steel basket, polycarbonate basket. Again, everything is completely, it's completely covered, and make sure that there's anything where moisture can get into the connections, it will be covered.
Yeah, they got this nice little Molex connector, and then there's a cap that goes on over the actual speaker terminal connections to make sure water doesn't get in. So a lot of thought went into these speakers, and of course the LED grills that you can get with these speakers as well if you really want to light it up.
And chrome.
So, and I guess, if you're talking LEDs, I mean, that's not the end to what we have for LEDs, is it, Carlos? We got some other cool LED products.
Say you weren't cool enough to buy kicker speakers or kicker
I'm always
subs,
cool
right?
enough.
But not everyone's as cool as John, right?
Well, we got to give them that.
If you weren't cool enough to get kicker speakers or kicker subs, you can get your LEDs to match up, or you could still pair them up with our LED speakers with a really cool controller that we have is the KMLC. And all you're going to see is this RF controller. You're gonna wire up all your LEDs or your LED speakers, trim rings, grills, all up to here. You can control up to 12 speakers or even light bars, LED light bars with it. And this RF controller can be anywhere in or outside the boat. You don't need to be in line of sight, and you can control dancing of the lights. You wanna have them solid. It can do up to number of colors on there. So it's a really cool little option to have.
Yeah, and the fact it'll control the brightness, it'll color the colors themselves, it'll run the patterns. I mean, it really is a neat little controller. What a great accessory. And those LED rings, I mean, 6.5, 8-inch, 10-inch, and 12-inch. I mean, couple that with the LEDs and the speakers, and you have a light show on the water, which is, kind of exciting.
I got a friend with the Mustang that is dying to have blue LED.
I think he already does have blue LEDs all over everything. So, okay, amplifiers, speakers, subwoofers, we got to connect all this stuff. I mean, we got to start talking about, ways to connect it. We're going to hand this to you. Tell us what we have here in these packages and why that is so important and why it's marine dedicated.
This is a big, big deal. So we now have power kits.
It's so big he can hardly hold it.
4 gauge and 8 gauge. It looks big in my hands, right? 4 gauge and 8 gauge. So you're going to get the same run, 20 feet of run of power and ground. Power red, ground yellow.
Why yellow for ground? That sounds kind of different than what I'm used to.
Well, again, ABYC NEMA compliance following U.S. Coast Guard. In boats, they want to use ground for yellow in case you got a boat underwater, they got to get in there and disconnect something. They want to go to that yellow wire because black, you really aren't going to be able to see so much underwater, but the yellow sticks out. So you can go ahead and go straight to that ground wire, disconnect it. So we follow, again, ABYC NEMA compliances. Now, these are OFC full spec power kits. We didn't cheapen the kit up in any way. If you look at it over here, all the kits are terminated, so you don't have to worry about crimping anything on there or soldering anything else on. And what's really cool about these kits is something, let me pass this over to Vanna John again. If you guys know John Myers, you guys know John Myers has been doing install car audio since the Flintstones days.
For a little while.
So, John, where are you supposed to have your fuse from the battery when you're doing a car audio
I'm going to
install?
think back to my Iasca days, way back then. I mean, we're talking 18 inches from the battery. I mean, it's got to be fused within 18 inches for safety.
Now, do you guys know what the Coast Guard says that you should have your fuse from the battery?
I think I do. 6 inches?
6 inches from the battery. So if you're going to be compliant.
Why 6 inches for a boat?
Well, that's the length between the posts on a regular battery.
That makes sense.
So if you're going to somehow, trip both those connections, you have a fuse on there, right? So it's supposed to be 6 inches. With our fuse holder, our MRBF marine fuse holder, actual marine fuse holder, this puts you right on top of the battery. How far is this from the battery now, John?
It's pretty much right on top of it.
Less than an inch, right? So it complies, meets, and exceeds with those certifications. Now, it's a big deal because everybody in the marine audio industry keeps pushing marine kits or marine wiring, but they're using car audio wire.
Well, maybe not everybody, but the ones that aren't doing it right.
Yeah, well, some guys are doing marine wire and they're using marine stuff, but what they're using is car audio fusing or circuit breakers.
That doesn't sound acceptable.
That is a big no-no in the marine industry because, again, ignition protection, right? So what happens when you blow a fuse, a car audio, whether it's an A&L fuse or a maxi fuse?
I would assume you're going to get a spark.
You're going to get a spark, right? Again, we talked about boats having fumes on them, right? So
Especially if I'm on there.
right. We're using an MRBF Bussmann fuse holder. These fuse holders we did not invent. I just want to put that out there. We did not invent. This is Bussmann that makes these fuses. These are the marine standard. If you buy a brand new boat and that boat builder is fusing anything, he is using these fuse holders. And the reason why they're using these fuse holders is because they're hermetically sealed. If there is a short and there is a spark, which these won't create a spark. If there is a spark, it is completely sealed, so you will have ignition protection. You will not have a fire or explosion. Very big deal. These are going to be available in from 40 amp to 300 amp.
A lot of different sizes.
So don't be scared to use these, guys. I mean, we got car audio shops using these now, and these fuses. I mean, it's pretty unique. Not only are you safe, but you're also guaranteed that that customer is going to come back to you because nobody else is going to have these type of fuses.
Well, the other thing I like is the fact that you don't have to figure out where to mount a fuse holder if you use that
right
inline
there,
fuse.
right on top.
And if something's wrong, you know right to where to go to look for it. It's right at the battery, so very safe, very secure, and protected.
To go along with that fuse holder, we have distribution blocks. We have a ground distribution block, and we have a power distribution block. So as you can see right there, that's where your main fuse hose or your power goes, and you got your fuse connections right there. So very cool, very nice solution for all of your marine needs.
Yeah, not only do we have the 4 and 8 gauge power kits, we've got 1-aught, power wires available for marine applications in various lengths. So everything you need to hook up your Kicker marine system is pretty much right, just a click away if you're, happen to be buying it online or wherever you happen to be purchasing your audio gear. So we definitely have you covered. But we talked about all these things that are going to make the music and connect it and make all the components work together, but we got to talk about what's going to actually play the music. I mean, we got to start at the front. I mean, that's where it starts. So let's go backwards to the front.
Let's talk about our source units, John. We have 4 source units to go with. We start with our KMC2 and the KMC3. Well, before we do that, let's talk about the common features on all of them. They're all going to have AM/FM. They're going to have USB. They're going to have an aux input. They're going to have an RCA out. At least one RCA out on all of them, and you're going to have Bluetooth control as well. Short circuit protection, undercurrent protection, overcurrent protection. Very important for you guys to know and explain to your customers those protections because they should be an industry standard for marine. So those are going to be our standards. KMC2, KMC3 are basically the same exact thing, except they're going to have a square face versus a round face. Depends on your customer's preference, right? They're all going to have a 3-inch mounting hole diameter as well, and they all have onboard power. They don't require extra power.
I think it's 25 watts by 4, isn't it?
Yeah, that's the minimum, right? So KMC2, KMC3. KMC4 now is your step up that's going to have weather band. It's going to have front, rear, sub output, and zone 2. So you'll get zone 2 control going up to KMC3.
So yeah, you're actually adding 2 more sets of RCA outputs, which is really handy. And it'll run 2 ohms, won't that one?
That one doesn't, but the 5 runs 2 ohms, and it's actually a 6-channel amplifier on there that can go down to 2 ohms, so you can power up 12 speakers to it. So really cool. This KMC5 also has an LCD color display. They both have LCD color display with day and night, but you have a video input. So now you can hook up to a camera and see whoever you're towing behind you, or if you got a big boat with a that you want to see behind you when you're docking it, you can see that. You can put a camera up front.
Like tubers or anything out in the water.
You can go ahead and program a button on the radio itself, just a switch, or you can hook up a switch to it to make sure it works. I mean, it's really cool. But the big deal on this, it has NEMA bus compatibility. NMEA bus compatibility. Now when I talk NEMA bus, if you have one of those fancy fish finders that controls everything.
Does it find only fancy fish?
Only fancy fish, not the guppies. So yeah, if you have one of those cool fish finders, you can go ahead and connect to it and have this somewhere hidden in the hull, and you can go ahead and do all your functions on there. So pretty cool radio, pretty awesome. And none of these radios require an extra hideaway box, so everything is built into it. It's great, easy to go.
I also like the fact that you've just got a switched ignition to them. You don't actually have to have a separate power.
Exactly.
So they've got the memory built in, and the KMC5 will tell you if the battery gets low in the boat. You get a low battery warning. And you can have them in black or chrome. They all come with individual faces, so you can interchange if you want a black face or a chrome face. So a lot of cool features on those marine source units. And what if you need to put a control elsewhere? I mean, what do we got for that?
Well, we got our Marine Commanders over here. You got your KRC-12 or KRC-12 and KRC-55.
Got a lot of letters in all of our lineup.
Especially in the Marine, geez. Okay, so your KRC-12 is going to work for KMC-2, 3, 4. KRC-55 is going to work with the KMC-5, so it's going to give you a nice little display on there, color display, instead of just having a basic entry-level display. Now, John, how many Marine Commanders can we hook up to these radios?
How many Y adapters do you have?
Exactly. So we have not found the limit. Let's just say that.
Well, the other cool thing too is you can use the KRC-12 and the KRC-55 on the KMC-5.
That's
so
right.
You do a combination of both, since they have two different styles of plugins, and they will work, congruent with each other. So another cool little feature that we want to make sure everything works, and performs exactly the way some of the custom boat builders might, see fit, because there's a lot of different boats out there, a lot of different options. That's why we offer so many different products, sizes, features, and colors. And
it's all exciting stuff. I mean, what makes it more exciting is it's the right stuff for marine. It is not stuff that's retrofitted, painted white. It is the right stuff that's specifically designed for your listening enjoyment to enjoy your boat.
It sounds like we pretty much went overboard on that.
I kind of agree with you. But if you guys really know what going overboard means, Ernie's got a picture of showing one of our Brazilian customers who completely went overboard. Now, if you're looking at that, that was a year and a half ago. And what you're seeing is just half of what he put on there. The other set, the second set of those speakers are facing front. So KMTC or 9s on there on the very top and built into the top deck. So really cool way of showing us how to go overboard. So we invite you guys, please go overboard. Show us how overboard you can go.
Kind of looks like an aquatic DJ booth.
Yes. One of my cousins, huh?
Yeah, it's too much fun. So I think that pretty much winds up pretty much all we have to offer at this point. Obviously, there's always more stuff coming down the pike.
Mr. Singh, what do you think? Ben?
Guys, first of all, great presentation. I've got a page of notes I want to go through, but
just
first
a
of all,
page.
Just a page.
Email
but,
us.
there were so many good points brought up, and we did cover many categories, right? So the first one I want to start with, guys. There's two main themes that really resonated with me, and the first one being safety. We do a lot of presentations with many different brands. This is the Marine Sessions, but I see that Kicker does have a keen focus on safety, and I just want to ask, like, the dealer, I feel many dealers who are either starting to get into marine or looking at getting to marine may not realize at this point how important the safety element is when it comes to marine. I was wondering if you could speak to that a little bit, Carlos.
Yeah, I mean, safety is a big deal because you put yourself in liability if you're doing the wrong stuff. There is big box dealers here in the U.S. that will absolutely not put any equipment on your boat unless it's ABYC NEMA compliant or they know that it's designed to be marine, because it puts them at big exposures. You can create a big problem and put yourself at risk is the best way I could put it without scaring anybody.
And it's not a question of being scared. I think it's a question of being educated and aware of what you're getting into. And it's smart business to know, what are the risk assessment when going into a certain category.
I don't know about you, but I sure don't want to be sued by anyone for
no, exactly. But what's comforting is to know that a brand such as Kicker has put in that time of R&D and implemented said features within the product range to optimize that safety scenario for dealers. So I want to commend you on that. And you think
about it too, as an OEM supplier, you have to think about that stuff because you're putting your partners at risk. And again, the dealers are our partners as well. If they're not making money, we're not making money. So we want to make sure that we minimize the exposure to those dealers, and we're thinking of them and thinking of the future.
Carlos, that's a perfect segue. I mentioned there was 2 points that were resonating with me. The first being safety, the second being the OEM side of your business. I want to direct this maybe to John. How does that affect, I mean, obviously the safety element, but how does that affect moving forward all the development that you do for new product with all these partnerships and deals that you have with OEM builders?
Well, it's very important because, you know, the products have to be designed to meet all the NMEA and all the standards, because if the boat manufacturer is going to use the product, if it's not certified, they can't use it. They can't sell the boat. So we spend a lot of time working with the boat manufacturers and working with these various organizations, you know, with the U.S. Coast Guard, to ensure that, you know, everything we're designing from here on out is going to uphold all those safety standards. So when that boat is sold to a customer, we know that, you know, there isn't going to be a failure, especially on our part that's going to lead to a situation where, you know, the consumer can get injured or, you know, property damage can ensue. So it's very important and it's very crucial, and it's, you know, entrenched deep within our engineers that, you know, we seek out and find, you know, all the like right now standards and what is going to come down the pike. We're preparing ahead all the time for what other safety, you know, mandates are going to be implemented.
And I want to take this opportunity to make our listeners aware. I mean, Kicker is heavily invested in OE development and supplying, because I've seen a list of all these boat partners that you guys actually work with.
I don't know if we have that list.
I don't know if we have the list.
But
it's
I know
available.
you guys won't be able to read it,
Kicker's
but yeah,
website.
it's pretty long. I mean, it's 40 plus, you know, boat OEM manufacturers, and that means basically our stuff is installed in the assembly line when the boat's being built. It's not added later, you know, by, you know, a jobber or someone on the site. They are put in at the manufacturing level, and they have absolutely got to adhere to all those safety and quality standards before they can be, you know, certified for marine.
Dave, I'm going to pass you the mic to give you a chance, because I've got another 2-3 questions myself.
Well, you know, I love the fact that you were focusing on the safety side of things, like you guys were mentioning before. You know,
and don't forget, there's the sound quality side of things too.
We're getting to that. Yeah, absolutely.
But safety is often overlooked, and not everybody that is into marine is into marine. You know, they're like Carlos said, there's speakers and amplifiers and that sort of stuff that are conventional car audio speakers that are just being treated with white, and away you go. But I love the fact of the attention and detail that Kicker puts into every aspect, from the source unit to the amplifiers to the speakers and everything that wires them in between, to make sure that you're getting not only a safe system, but maximizing the performance. Because we didn't really talk about, you know, or spend a lot of time on the quality of the wire, using, you know, solid copper as opposed to things like CCA, carbon, you know,
CCA is absolutely taboo in the boat world. I mean, aluminum does corrode. I mean, it is definitely something you do not want to have. Yeah, it's you know, we don't recommend it car audio. We certainly don't recommend it, you know, for marine audio. In fact, it's really interesting. You know, they talk about, you know, even soldering as a no-no in marine, because, you know, soldering will weaken the wire, and then you've got that, you know, spot for corrosion as well. But, you know, we focus on the safety, we focus on the, you know, sound performance, but, you know, you think about it, we focus on the cosmetics too, with all the UV treating. It's going to look the same 5 years from now. It's not going to be falling apart. You know, the glue's going to deteriorate, tweeter's going to fall out of it, or, you know, the you know, black cans are not going to turn, you know, chalky gray. I mean, we want to make sure that, you know, when a customer buys Kicker Marine product, he can enjoy that for countless years to come.
I want to bring back the dialogue about the amplifier. So my question immediately popped in my head. You're talking about the build quality and all the safety. So now I'm coming to you as an audio enthusiast. Kicker amplifiers are legendary. So I want to know, how do they compare to the marine line of amplifiers? How are they different? How are they the same?
You mean between our automotive line and the marine line?
Correct, yes.
Yeah, basically, you know, what it comes down to is, with the exception of making them marinized, you know, doing the conformal coating and the different style connectors, you know, the quality standards are upheld, you know, through the entire amplifier line. In fact, if you notice, the KMA looks very similar to the, you know, CXA, and the KXMA look very similar to the KXM amplifiers we used to sell that, you know, unfortunately were discontinued last year due to the COVID thing and all the shipping. But the quality standards are there. You know, our amplifier defective rate, you know, is you know, some of the lowest numbers in the industry. You know, we're looking, you know, under 2% defective, you know, rates on amplifiers, when a lot of times you're talking, some companies are, you know, you got 5, 7, 10%. So we spend a lot of time. We want to make sure that once this stuff is installed, you don't have to take it out and send it in, because you want to enjoy your time on your boat, not spend your time, repairing it and pulling audio gear out and sending it back. So every bit of the product, as far as the marine, has got the same quality standards with more, levels of certification than the car audio amplifier line. So if you like car audio amplifiers from Kicker, you're going to love the marine amplifiers, because they're the same but better.
Beautiful.
And we know when there's a problem, it's a hassle to pull your boat out of the water, bring it into the shop. I mean, you got to have a big truck, and you can't go around traffic. So we think about all that stuff when these products come out.
Awesome. And just to finish on the amplifier line, what was the biggest multi-channel application that you have available?
Well, depending on the product line, I mean, the KMA amplifier line, we actually have a 600-watt 4-channel, and we have a 600-watt 6-channel full range. And then when you talk about the KXMA amplifier line, we actually have a 1200-watt full range 2-channel, which is designed to be used with those 9/11-inch can speakers. So the amplifier produces 300 watts per channel full range at 4 ohms and 600 per channel at 2 ohms. And then, of course, there's the two big bad boys. You've got an 800-watt 8-channel and a 800-watt 4-channel for the guys that really want to drive their marine audio. And of course, might as well throw in that KXMA 905, which is a 5-channel, which has 4 channels of full range output and then a 400-watt subwoofer section. So a lot of good amplifiers to really fill up, the need for, any speaker amplification you'll need. We should have a model number that's going to work right for you.
And don't be afraid to use the marine amplifiers in car audio situations, because that 808 gets thrown in a lot of cars that have components up front and the rear.
A lot of the multi-channel car applications.
Yeah, I mean, you're safe with that. I mean, the stuff is great, and our customers know they can trust our product and across the line.
Yeah, you can go marine to car, but not car to marine. So
Right.
it's not reverse compatible.
Exactly.
People do it, but we do not recommend it.
Just switching gears quickly to the speaker grills. I just want to say those got crazy drip. My 9-year-old son would be happy that I said that today. So crazy drip on the speaker grills. And Carlos, we trust everybody in the U.S. other than the Illinois area. Just the Illinois area is a little sketchy for us. Just so you know.
Bears fans,
I moved to Oklahoma from Chicago too. So
it's that hot dog situation, man.
Yeah. I want to give you props
Portillo's.
where props are due. I mean, obviously the design and the sound and the reputation that the tower speakers have precede themselves. So congratulations on that. But I want to give a shout out to that fuse holder design that you guys have. I think it's really innovative and unique in the industry. And if you're going to put in that kind of money into a sound system on a boat, yeah, you want to be able to say to the customer that you are protected. Your investment, rather, is protected properly.
That's right.
So I want to give props to that. It's a very unique design, and it feels like, just looking at it, I feel safer. You know what I mean? The way it's built.
I want to throw out, talking about safety and security. I know this is outside the audio realm. Well, kind of, but we talk about, car audio. The most important car audio component is the alternator. Well, if you guys are doing, high-end marine systems, and you want to upgrade the alternator, you got to make sure you have a marine certified alternator, to suppress the ignition, so you don't have to worry about sparks. And same thing with the starter.
Yeah.
So, I mean, all of it has to work together, and we're always, looking ahead to make sure that, we're going to follow those compliances for safety and security.
Awesome. My last question, and I'll give Dave the last word here, is just reviewing the source units. We talked about different sources, so AM, FM is standard. The higher models have weather band, obviously Bluetooth connectivity. Is SiriusXM on any of those compatible?
The KMC5 is the
Yes.
one that has SiriusXM built into it.
And it is compatible. You do have to have the tuner to go with it.
Right,
but
you need
yes.
to get the tuner.
But
Okay,
we don't
very
make a
good.
tuner.
Very
So,
cool.
obviously we got to give homage to our sponsor and have at least one that has
Well, that's
SiriusXM.
it. No, I gotta ask the question. We're talking source units, right?
There's a cool company named Jemson, I believe, that offers a SiriusXM tuner to go with those.
Yeah, I
things.
bet
Imagine
they
that.
do.
Imagine that. Dave, any words for our experts here?
Well, we touched upon a lot of things. I think a couple of cool things that we should, bring back is that clamp system is absolutely killer. I mean, I love the fact that, it's number one, so robust and solid, and gives you the ability to protect your investment. You're putting your boat away from the winter because, marine season is 2 weeks for us up here in Canada. So, when you put your boat away, You don't want, thousands of
We
dollars
go
a year being
overboard
left
for 14 days a year, Dave.
Yeah,
pretty much.
14 days a year.
that
go
little
hard.
window.
And the other thing is the LED rings. I mean, those get often overlooked, but I mean, it's such a cool idea because the amount of time that guys are spending trying to, fabricate their own and glue on LED strips, and this is ready, away you go, and obviously use them on your kicker speakers, but they're compatible with all kinds of other brands out there. So you want lights. Not only stick with the LEDs that are on the speakers, but those LED rings are awesome. And I believe that we make them for the subwoofers as well, right? 10s and 12s?
10 and 12 inch both. And we got so tired of seeing people make them and make them badly that we decided let's just go ahead and offer those and save everybody the trouble and have them all look great. But using those rings in conjunction with the LEDs on the front of the speakers, I mean, it really lights up the boat. It just looks fantastic. And then, say you've got older, marine speakers that don't have LEDs or the capability, here's a great way to add that to them, to add that little bit of flash that, your buddy has that you didn't have before.
If you want to be the cool guy on the lake, and
I
be a
am the
baller
cool
on a
guy on the
budget.
lake.
Awesome. Dave, any other notes, any other points that you'd like to bring up?
Well, these guys always do a killer job, and I think we touched upon everything in detail.
Oh, we didn't go into all the details. We could. You just got like a
Don't
sky
open the
view
door
from
for
in the
above.
limited window that we had, I think we did a pretty good job, covering the vast majority of the products that are out there. But, more importantly, you have to listen to the product to really appreciate what we have to offer. I mean, everybody can preach about how awesome their gear is, but until you get an opportunity to listen to it, you never can really appreciate how great this product is. And it's not, junk painted white. This is real, thoughtfully designed, well-engineered, extensively tested gear that's going to provide years of enjoyment on your vessel. So awesome
I think
product.
you really touched the key point is this product's designed to sound great in a boat. You get a lot of products that sound good in a car, and the one environment, you put them in another environment, not necessarily working so well. So everything we have is voiced specifically for that environment, whether it's automotive, power sports, marine, Bluetooth, like portable speakers. Everything is designed specifically acoustically for that application. And we obviously know acoustics. The owner of the company is a musician. He knows how it should sound. He knows how it should perform. So hats off to Steve, because we're 50 years he's been doing this, and we're just proud to be a part of it and proud to have you as part of it with us.
Well, we are proud to have you on the show, and super happy to know that you not only you've got an incredible product right now, but it sounds like you guys always have something up your sleeve. So I wouldn't be surprised if something new might creep in a little bit later on, or maybe
Just
not. But that's my guess.
Nudge, nudge.
That's my guess. I'm just guessing. Gentlemen, live from the Kicker studio here, Carlos and John, I want to thank you immensely for taking the time today and sharing with us all this great information. Can't appreciate you guys enough, and hopefully we'll have you back soon enough.
Yep, sounds good.
Thank you,
man.
guys.
Thanks, Dave. Thanks, guys. Have a good
Take
day.
care.
Thanks, guys. All the best.
Yeah, like I was saying backstage there, Dave, these guys just make my job easy. Like, really, they cover things really well, and they have a way of presenting it that, although I had some questions, a lot of them were answered in that presentation.
Well, they're experts at everything, doesn't it seem?
does
Experts in
seem that way.
marine, mobile, and even, video presentations. They're a well-oiled machine. No
Very
doubt.
well oiled, very well oiled. What message do you have? I mean, obviously, if you guys are interested in looking at Kicker, or maybe you do Kicker and you didn't have the marine side of things covered, maybe this will inspire you. Or maybe you're not a Kicker dealer and you want to be, check below. Get a hold of the cool guys at Jamsen. Dave and his gang will definitely take care of you and get you on board. Dave, what message do you have for dealers listening into this?
Well, we hope you guys learned a lot of the features and benefits that Kicker brings to the table. We have a full selection of product from beginning to very end, and whether or not you're using Kicker extensively or exclusively in your system, or maybe you're just using Kicker wiring, we've got solutions that'll work for any application. And the beautiful thing is, there's price points to accommodate every need and budget. Give us a ring. We'll be happy to talk to you about any opportunities that we can bring to the table.
On that note, Dave, I want to thank you again for coming on and sharing some insight, and we look forward to connecting with you again on a future one of these.
Always a pleasure, Ben. Take care.
Take care, Mr. Singh. There you have it, folks. Thanks for staying with us for this Kicker Marine audio presentation presented by Jem Sen. I want to remind you to continue tuning in to CMA Networks. We are still on our marine audio sessions right through until Wednesday, April 6th. That's right. How we're tackling the year is that we're going to go one category at a time. And right now we're knee deep into marine audio. There it is on the screen with all the great brands that are partaking in this event. And of course, we'll be switching over to our next session after Wednesday, April 6th. If you haven't had the chance, make sure you get to our website, cmanetworks.com. Brand new interface, guys. We work really hard on it. All new way to find the content you're looking for, whether it's by the category, by the brand, or even by the trainer. Check it out, cmanetworks.com. Literally hundreds of videos to get your learn on. That's it. This is a wrap. This is CMA Connected, presented by SiriusXM. I'm your host, Ben Wu. Until next time, we connect.
I mean, yeah, this time
Stop it.
Today when I'm going to
Yo, roll it down.
I am.
You don't need a car to listen to SiriusXM. You can listen anywhere. You know that, right?
What? Kevin Hart's Laugh Out Loud Radio.
Kevin, you could use your phone.
What? What?
Alexa, play Kevin Hart's Laugh Out Loud Radio on SiriusXM.
What?
This is how I know you're getting old. I guess that was it.
What?